All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to look at the tail end of the Revolutionary War. Okay. Um, Last video, we talked about the very beginning parts of it, the shot heard around the world, the Declaration of Independence, basically saying how we want to separate from Britain. Now we're going to get into the actual fighting and things like that. Okay, but first, we got to go through the warm up. All right, so here's the warm-up picture. The first question asks you, basically in your own words, what do you see? What's going on in this picture? Okay, so again, look at the foreground, look at the background, um, what kind of weather are they having, things like that. All right, now the second question asks you, this, as you can tell, this is a mockery or a satire of the original George Washington crossing the Delaware. My question to you is this. Why do you think that picture, that painting is so iconic? Of Washington there, with the guy, holding the flag, which actually ends up being future President James Monroe. Um, why do you think this that painting, that image is so iconic? And again, like the guy kicking the ice in the very, very front, things like that with the oar. Um, so what do you think? Why do you think so many people just love that painting? They use it for a lot of different things. So why do you think so? What's what do you think makes it so majestic, if you want to use that word? Okay, so pause the video, but we're moving on in three, two, one. So, like I said, there's the actual picture right there. Um, and like I said, the guy in the front kicking the ice, the guys on the side moving the ice with the oar and some of that. So this picture is very iconic. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Early on in the war, the British are beating the crap out of the colonies. All right. The Continental Army is getting defeated left and right. They're going in it like, hey, yeah, we can take them on, things like that. But in reality, the British Army is so much stronger. They are the biggest, baddest army in the world at that time. Now, they know this. They know they're the biggest and baddest. So, to kind of try to squash the rebellion quickly, the British government sends 34,000 troops into New York. Okay, now nowadays that doesn't sound too much, but back then that was quite a bit of people. Okay, um, and like I said, they came in and they basically knocked the Continental Army around, started pushing them around. And a lot of people were starting to lose hope because they're hearing about battles being lost here and there, and all they're hearing is the Continental Army is retreating, 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 and not many victories, like hardly any. So hope starts to fade the very, very beginning. Now, December 25th, 1776, Washington crosses the Delaware River from Pennsylvania to New Jersey, and along with him, he has 2,400 men. Okay, now if you look at the date, December 25th, if you don't know, that is Christmas Day. So Christmas Day, he's crossing the Delaware, and he does this surprise attack in Trenton, New Jersey, and they win that battle. And then they go to Princeton. They win that battle. So people are now starting to be like, hey, hey, we got back-to-back wins. This is pretty awesome. Oh my goodness, this is great. This is the good news we need. So hope starts to return to the people with these two wins by George Washington. And it all again starts with him crossing the Delaware. Now, here's your first question. Do you think a sneak attack on Christmas is an honorable move to make during war? Why or why not? Okay, there's been instances during war between two or three or whatever countries where they respect each other's holidays. They don't fight on Christmas, on Yom Kippur, and things like that. Um, they'll stop to respect the holiday. In the Civil War, the North and South, they used to get together actually and eat and play games and things like that, sing songs, and then the next day, then they would go back to fighting. Um, but also, like a friend of mine told me, who was a boxer, he goes, hey, no, in war, you have to protect yourself at all times. So that should apply to war too. So I see like both sides. How do you see it? How do you perceive it? Is that a sneak attack, honorable, or is it like no? Hey, anything can go in war. So what do you believe? Explain why, and let me know. Okay. So pause the video, but we're moving on in three, two, one. Okay, so General Howe, he is the British leader. Remember, he's also the um, guy in charge in Boston, the like, governor, mayor, you want to call him, because of what happened with uh, the Boston Tea Party. Now, what he's doing, he's decided, you know what? Instead of going to these different battles and things like that, he goes, we should go to Philadelphia because at this time, Philadelphia is basically considered our capital. He's like, let's go there and let's capture these guys who are so talking about revolution and things like that, getting independence. Let's get these guys, people like Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and stuff like that. Let's capture them, and that will crush the heart of the rebellion. So they make their way to Philadelphia. Well, the thing is, Washington and his men, they hear about this. So they intercept General Howe and his men while Washington's out there, you know, um, taking on General Howe, other men are going into Philadelphia and basically clearing out the city, getting people like Ben Franklin out. Telling, hey, they're gonna try to come capture you. Let's go. Let's move. Um, and then when Washington hears, hey, it's all good, they clear out. They retreat. So General Howe sees this. Oh, this is a battle. It's a victory. I won. But in reality, when he goes into Philadelphia, he realizes it was a diversion. This wasn't really a battle. It was a little diversion to get the people out of Philadelphia. Okay. Um, October 17th, 1777, sorry. What happens is the British soldiers are needed. So they come from Canada, because again, Canada is owned by the British at this time. They come through, right? And there's this little corridor area where it's like mountains and hills, and there's an area where uh, people can cross. There's like a path. Well, the Continental Army knows they're coming through, so they set up like a little ambush for them and capture 5,000 of the best soldiers in the world. The British soldiers, just they capture them. Okay. Um, this is a big blow to General Howe and the British Army. This also is significant because this showed the French that the colonies could take care of themselves, that they probably could win. Now, secretly, the French have been helping out the Americans, but nothing too big, nothing too public. But they were helping us out a little bit. But now that we captured those 5,000 British soldiers, um, the French were like, you know what, these guys have a chance. Let's help them out. They sent two major people to help out the soldiers in training. One was Baron Frederick von Steubenville. Okay, I think I got the last name right. He trained the soldiers, how to march, how to shoot the gun, and how not to freak out when you know someone beside you getting shot or blood comes at you and hits you, in the neck and the face. He's teaching them how to be real soldiers. Okay. The other guy is Marquis de Lafayette. He is training the commanders. This is how you read a terrain. This is the time when you send the cavalry, the guys on horses. This is when you should have your cannons, things like that. Now, because the French are there doesn't necessarily mean that we are winning battles. We are, but we're also losing more than we're winning. So it gets to the point where the colonists are losing. It looks pretty bad for us. And in one of our early American Revolutionary heroes, Benedict Arnold, he decides, you know what? The colonies are going to lose. Um, those people who support the independence, they're going to get killed. They're going to be executed for treason and stuff like that. He goes, I don't want that for me. So he switches sides and he joins the British. Still to this day, when someone is considered a traitor, they jump sides, things like that, they're called a Benedict Arnold. Okay, if you've never heard that term before, or if you've heard it like in movies or stuff like that, and you always wonder, well, who's a Benedict Arnold? What is that? Now you know. It's this guy right here, this picture. He jumped ship when he thought that they were going to really lose, and he tried to save his life that way. All right, so what do you think is a fair punishment for people who betray their country for money or to escape punishment? What do you feel is fair? Okay. Um, so people who turn on our country, um, excuse me, selling secrets to um, our enemies or rival countries, or hey, they have some dirt on us, so they're going to give it to uh, these other countries because of what our country's trying to do, trying to capture them for something they did wrong, stuff like that. So, what do you think? What's a fair punishment for people who betray their country, our country? What do you think is fair? Okay, so um, go ahead, write your response, pause the video, but we're moving on in three, two, one. Okay, so now that the British have been losing quite a bit, they tend to head south now. Um, Now, May 8th, 1780, General Charles Cornwallis, the British commander guy, captures 5,000 soldiers in Charleston, South Carolina. Cornwallis is a very smart man when it comes to military tactics and military mind. He is truly one of the greatest, especially at that time. Now, the thing is, his way of fighting is the standard way, marching side by side into a middle field, things like that. Um, Not every soldier and not every battalion is going to fight like that. And what happens is by October 7th, 1780, at the Battle of the Kings, the American troops actually forced the British out of the South. So you got one group of British coming down from the north to the south, and you got this group of Cornwallis coming up. And they basically end up being at Yorktown. Now, and see, I don't know if you can see my little arrow here. The Americans are right here, right? They're attacking this side. The French are over here and stuff like that. The thing is, we surround them. We're shooting our our guns and our cannons at them at Yorktown, but the French actually have ships out here in the water, and they're just bombarding the fort. So October 19th, 1781, the Battle of Yorktown, General Cornwallis and 8,000 of his troops surrender. They're basically out of ammunition, they're out of food, water, things like that. And when news travels to England that a Cornwallis was captured and he surrendered, this made a lot of the people in the English colonies go, you know what, or the in the English Parliament go, you know, we're losing men, we're losing money, we're not gaining much, and we just our best general just basically got captured. What's the point of this now? Okay, let's just let's just get this over with. Let's just call it quits. Let them have their independence. Let's just end this. It's costing us way too much. All right, so the peace talks begin April 1782. They don't officially have an agreement. The Treaty of Paris is not signed until September 3rd, 1783. Again, if you notice when the talks began and when they ended, it's almost a year and a half. Okay, you have to remember these peace talks were not just like, oh, do we get independence, we get this land, that's it. No, because again, the French helped us out. Okay, we got to settle boundaries and borders, and they have to like give land and how much money to pay back and things like that. All that stuff had to be agreed upon, and finally, it is. With the Treaty of Paris, it officially makes the United States of America as an official nation because the Britain officially recognized us as an independent nation. November 24th, 1783, the last remaining troops leave, and they leave out of New York, and they're gone. That's the last time, um, well, I should say the last time a British soldier is in the United States because they come back. You'll find that out later on. So, also, Britain, because they lost the war, they couldn't have the state of Florida anymore. They had to give that back to Spain. And if you remember back, they lost that land during the French and Indian War. Okay. Now, hey, we won. Everything's great. Awesome, right? But now the real challenge comes in. What do you do now? You gained your independence. You have the freedom now. How do you start a government? How do you set up laws? What's the official way you do this? What about money? What about trade? Things like that. All that stuff now needs to be answered and done. So here's your next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, predict how hard it will be to get the new United States government started and running efficiently. That's the key word, efficiently. If you don't know what that means, efficiently means for something to go well. You know, yeah, it might have a little hiccup here and there, but it's going to work. Okay. So 1 represents, hey, it's going to be easy, a walk in the park. They've been planning this out, so it should be like piece of cake. Or would you go somewhere higher? And 10 being extremely difficult, almost near impossible to get it going. So what do you think? On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard do you think it would be to get the new United States government started and running efficiently? Okay, so um, pause the video so you can write your response, but we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. Well, I thought there was an exit ticket, but I guess not. So that's the end of this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. Next class, we'll be talking about this exact thing, the new government that's going to be formed and created. And we're going to see if it does work efficiently, you know. And was it easy to make, or was it hard, or was it somewhere in the middle? We're going to find that out next class. Okay, so good job, guys. Don't forget to turn it in to me. Make sure your name's on the paper. Um, and I'll see you guys next class, all right? So you guys take care and be safe, all right?